Hey, it's Tommy again from Crash Rabbit Gaming, and I just released my first game. It's called Recurrence. It's totally free. You can go play it right now. So, what better way to celebrate than with free loot for everybody, virtually, and random loot, actually. So, I came up with a few different methods of doing random loot, and there's also a script that I'll talk about. So first, let me just show you this one. These ones are all the same. And I guess I'll just quickly show you. You should know how to create a treasure chest. Right click, quick event creation, treasure chest. Then you can just click OK and open it up because we're going to change what's in here anyway. And in this, I removed a lot of the self switches because all that does is it just goes to the end and just makes it so you can't open it again. Which of course in the final game you don't want to be able to open the chest multiple times and keep getting items. But in this case, I'm just going to delete all that stuff so I can just keep opening it again and again and again without having to restart the playtesting, and that just makes it easier. But I've already made these, so like I said, these are all the same, so I'll just open this first one. And this is not a good method to use, but I'll just go through it and show you why. So this one uses multiple pages. So first thing, we set a variable, and in this case it's variable 21, so you just click control variables, create, choose some variable you want to use, and then click random and set it to 1 to 10 in this case. And this is basically going to be like a percentage. So it's, each number is a 10% chance sort of. And so I'll skip to the last page. Self switch is on, so that that's the typical thing you want to do. And then remember the game checks in reverse order. So first it'll check this last page, see if this self switch is on, then it'll go to this page. So I have these conditions here, variable that we set, if it's 10 or above, and 10 is the highest. So this is the rarest one. So if it's exactly 10, then you'll get this rare item. Otherwise it'll go to page 3, see if it's 7 or above. So if it's 7, 8, or 9, then you'll get this one. Otherwise it'll go here and just see if it's 1 or above. And so this is the most common one. So this is just change items, potion, and then I set the control variable to 0, which I'll explain in a second. And so then this has high potion, this has full potion. So remember, all of these are the same, which means, okay, so the first one is action button. All these pages are on auto run. So as soon as you open it and it sets the variable, then it'll auto run this and give you the item. But because this is on auto run, all of these are going to be checking for this same variable because we're using the same variable. So you could use a different variable for each treasure chest, but that's kind of a lot of work, and we want a better solution than that. But if you're just doing this for like one chest, you could do it this way, but there's still better ways to do this. But I'll just show you how this works here. So let's play test this. And we'll run over here. So we get a potion, happen to get another potion. So this is mostly working, but then if you see, if I go to the last one and click, then something weird happens where they're going in order and not actually the one I'm clicking on. And that's just because of the sort of the weird timing that the engine is doing, where it's detecting it, but then it's not setting it right, anyway. So that's weird, and you don't want to do it that way. Unless you only have one of these on each map, because then these other ones aren't going to be opening since they're on different maps. But anyway, yeah. So let's go to the second one, this blue one. So now I only have one single page. Same thing, I'm using a different variable, but it's the same thing. Random numbered between 1 and 10, and then we're just doing a conditional branch. And so we'll check for this variable to see if it's less than or equal to 6, and we'll get a potion. Else it'll check to see if this is less than or equal to 9, and we'll get a stimulant. Otherwise, we'll get the mana. So this is a 10% chance of getting the mana, and this is the most common one here. And then these ones, I just have the self switch on just to show you how that would work in the final game. And I am using Yanfly's event window script, which you can see down here in the bottom left. So that way I don't have to put the message windows in telling you what you got. It'll just put it right there, stimulant. And actually I can keep clicking on this, potions. Eventually, oh, there we go. So then I finally got the mana up. And if we do that enough times, it should, if I did that 100 times, then we check our inventory, then we should have, 10 mana ups roughly, but it is random, so you never know. And so then here's just, how it would work in the game, and we just happen to get a potion both times there. And so then let's go to this next one. So this is a different method of this way we're still setting a different variable to a random number, 1 in 10, but now we're not giving a rarity or like a percentage to each, a different chance to each item. We're just giving you one random item between 1 and 10, and of course you could change this between 10 and 20 or 20 and 25 or whatever, but that means, it has to still be in an order. They all have to be in order, and you can't just choose like item 5 or item 20 or, but I'll show you how this works. So this is using a script call, but it's easy. So this is what these script calls mean. So first thing, to call this variable, we're going to use $game_variables, brackets, and then inside the brackets you put the number of the variable, which in this case is variable 22. And you don't need those leading zeros, just put 22. And then to gain an item, it's $game_party.gain_item, parentheses, inside the parentheses, $data_items, brackets, comma, amount. So for the amount, we just want to do one item. And then for the item number, we want to use that random number. So we're going to take that code and cut that out and paste it inside there. And then for the number of the variable, again, it's up here, it's number 22, so we're just gonna put a 22 in there. So this is the safest way of doing it, is just to copy and paste this code to make sure you have everything inside the brackets correctly, and you're not messing it up, and you're not making any typos. And you can find the code snippets like this on the RPG Maker web forum. There's a thread that goes over pretty much all the script calls you can use that would do the same thing as an event. Anyway, so then here's the script, and again, to run a script, it's just this last page and under advanced and script, and then you write your script in there. And so I've already done that here, and it's just that code that I just said. Unfortunately, because we're using a script call, that event window that usually pops up in the bottom left corner when you gain an item, that won't work with a script call. It only works if you're actually calling an item through this normal dialog, through this change items box. And of course you can do this with weapons or armor or whatever. I'm just doing it with items here. But so I'm being lazy and just having a text box that says you got a random item, but that means the player actually has to open up their inventory and see what they got. And if you have tons of items, if you're halfway through the game, you're not going to remember all the items you actually started with, so that's not very informative. So here's the second one. Now this, in order to show the item in a text box, I installed a different script, and so that's called the Yanfly's message system. And so if we scroll down, there's the code to put a variable number or the variable value into the text box. And then also if we scroll down all the way down here, there's this one that's write out item X's name including the icon. And so then this is \II with brackets. So if we go to that second one, you'll see this is all the same as that last treasure chest, but the text box now says you got a \II brackets. Inside the brackets are \V brackets with the number of the variable. Again, it's 22. So you'll get the icon with the name of the item. And then this third one is a different script. This one was written by Mephistox on the forum, And this is just a little Ruby script that gives you a little bit more control, but it's still pretty basic. So this is using an array. So the array is brackets, and you should be able to just pause this video if you're watching in HD, and you should be able to read all this, I hope. But it's list equals and then this array. So we're putting whatever numbers we want. We can do as many as you want. So in this case, I just did 1, 10, 16. And so those are the numbers, those are the item numbers that I want to give. But these all have an equal chance of occurring. So if you put some really high level item in here, it, has just as high a chance of you getting that as just a simple potion or something. But then what it's doing is list.sample, so it's just taking a random one of numbers from this array and then setting it to item, and then using similar code as before, the gain item, but then for the item number we're using that variable item, which is going to be one of these numbers up here, and then I set game variable 22 to the item number just so that I could use the same text box code again down here with the icon. So hope that wasn't too confusing, but I'll show you what it looks like in the game. So now, first one, you got a random item, and I can just keep opening this and check my items. So I got a high potion, magic water, and mana up, because some of these are key items. But so now this one, so there's that icon text in the box, so that's kind of neat. Puts the icon and the name, and so that's much clearer. We can just see exactly what we got. And then here's this other one that is using the array. We keep getting the same one. So there you go. So potion, luck up, and whatever. So those are all other methods you can use. Now, here's a little bit of a better method that gives you more control. So this one I wrote a common event called random loot, and I'm using 3 variables that I set, and I have common loot, good loot, and rare loot, and of course you could do more variables than this if you want. But this way I can copy and paste this treasure chest and then change what loot you're getting, or what possible loot you're getting. So the common loot, I just put 7, 12, and 15 for the rare loot, and then it calls this this random loot common event. So here's the common event, a little reminder to set your variables first. And then we're using another variable here for treasure for setting to a random number, and this time I am using 1 through 100 just so I can fine tune it a little bit more as like a percentage. Let's just ignore that one for now. And then we're just doing the conditional branch again. So if the treasure for random number is less than or equal to 60, then here's the script call, and in the script call I'm doing the variable for the common loot and then telling you about the common loot you got. And of course you could also, maybe say you got a really rare loot in the text box just so that they know that they actually got the rare loot in this bottom one. So common loot, else it'll check to see if the variable is less than or equal to 95, and then else it'll do this one. So there's only a 5% chance of getting this high one, or maybe a 4% chance. And then you can adjust these numbers, and also you don't have to nest these either. If you have a lot of these, it gets really annoying to nest these, and then they keep indenting all the way over. You could just get rid of the else condition and just use labels. So at the bottom of this condition, it'll jump to label that'll be at the end, so it'll skip the rest of these. But if it's above 60, then it'll check the next one, and then if it hits that one, then it'll jump to label. So that's another way of doing it, so you don't have to nest everything. And so then here you can see I just changed the numbers for the loot, and then this one I just have a self switch on just so you can see that it does in fact work as it would in the final game. So let's go down here. So dispel herb, speed up, guard up. So So then in this one you can see there are different items: magic up, luck up, elixir, and then here's this one, and then if I keep clicking it doesn't work anymore because that's already done. Now, one thing that I put in here, which is just an idea you could do, is for this control variable, after, make sure you do it after it sets the random number, then it also adds game data. In this case, I did player one's luck value. So if they have higher luck, it'll actually add that to the random number, so it'll actually increase the chance of finding better loot. But of course you want to make sure you're paying attention to what the luck value can be set at. If the luck can go too high, like actually if you level up all the way, at least by default, your luck can get to be like 300, so that would automatically always give you the rarest thing, like by far. So what you could also do is you could tweak this so that this is 1 to 1,000 instead of 1 to 100, and then 300 is still a pretty big chunk if you're leveled up all the way, but throughout the game, 15 is what you start at, so 15 is basically 1.5% chance higher, so that's not too bad. Or you can just adjust your luck settings or use something else entirely. And since this is just doing player one, if you have multiple party members that you can change to, that might not work. So anyway, it's just an idea. You could also set a variable and use another common event or something to increase that, like your own sort of luck system that you're adding, and then certain potions or people you meet can raise your luck on that. That would just be for the random loot chance, and it wouldn't affect anything else. It wouldn't affect your normal loot or your normal luck or anything like that. So that's another idea. So this is an okay system. I mean, it's nothing super special, and but you can definitely build off of this. You could also put some regular items in here as well, so that if so maybe you always get a regular potion no matter what, but then you also get one random item. Or if you get the rarest one here, you get a whole bunch of items plus some, whatever the rare item that you set is. And you could do it so you get multiple random items or whatever if you want to use more variables and things. So that's another idea. Now there is a script that I mentioned, and that is Galv's random loot. Go to the top here. And this is pretty cool. I haven't actually used this yet, but this uses note tags. So the rarity you can set, so higher is rarer, and you put these note tags on the items, armors, and weapons that you want to be random. And you have to do that or else they won't appear in the random chest. And then you can put the level. So this actually lets you tweak what level that your character has to be at for that to appear in the chest. So that, this is a better system throughout the whole game. If you want to just sort of set this stuff at the beginning and then not have to worry about it or whatever, and then it'll just take care of it for you because it's automatically checking your player's level. But that also means, I guess, if you can go back to the beginning of the game, let's say you found a whole bunch of treasure chests and you didn't open them, and then you leveled up a ton and then came back, then you'd be getting all the better items from the beginning of the game. So maybe you wouldn't want to do that. All just depends on how your game is set up. But then this is lucky, so all equipped lucky items are added to the chance to get rare items. So that's pretty cool, kind of like the luck system I was talking about, but this is right on weapons and armors, and you give it, I don't know how that number actually affects it, but or like how high you want to set that number, but anyway, and so then to get a random item you just use this script call, and you can put type, minimum rareness, maximum rareness, and monster in a box. So that is very cool sounding. If you want to have, really be able to tweak this how you want, then you might want to do it with a common event or one of these other methods, because then you can do it exactly how you want for that part of the game. But those are all different methods you can try out, and I hope that helped. So, thanks.